Hello everybody and welcome to the next webinar with Tarmac. I'm really pleased to be joined today by Tarmac, and you'll recognise the familiar face with Darren, Early Careers Manager. We will learn about the recruitment process, give you a head start with hints and tips, and this year we'll be hearing from graduates Victor, Rachel and Amarachi about their time so far at Tarmac and what the future has in store for them. So Darren, thank you for coming back to us. Welcome to the next webinar.
Thank you.
So let's start with you. Can you give the audience a bit of an overview to who Tarmac is, please?
Absolutely. So starting off with who we are, Tarmac is part of a CRH group, who are the world's leading building materials business. So globally employing over 76,000 people, with around 7,500 in the UK. I suppose our business in the UK, we are the UK's leading sustainable construction materials, road contracting and building products business. And we do lead in the supply and construction material, which compromises, aggregates, asphalt, cement, lime, concrete, road contracting, building products, and also recycling services as well. So, for future plans for us as a business, there's major, I suppose, the building materials for those major infrastructure projects, which we're working on now and we'll be looking to in the future as well. And innovation being hugely important as that within that, I suppose, and being a sustainable business and developing more sustainable products that benefits the environment and our communities. Yeah. So that vision as an organisation is that, we have to develop sustainable solutions that build, that connect and improve the world that we live in.
Yeah, and there's lots and lots of exciting future plans for Tarmac, isn't there, Darren? And it's much more than the name, isn't it? When people just associate Tarmac as in
Rockton Road.
Yeah, exactly. But there's so much more. There's so many different locations and everything else that we're going to find out a little bit more about throughout the webinar, not towards the end. So Darren, tell us a little bit more about you and your role at Tarmac.
Okay. So I've worked within the early careers sector, student recruitment, various different names, emerging talent, in the market for around 20 years, within Big Four global law firms. Dipped my toe into HE as well from a university angle, and sort of more recently joined Tarmac in March from a regional water company. Yeah. And my role is primarily resourcing focused, but there's a lot of contact that I'll have with the business in terms of their requirements, working with HR colleagues, obviously working with our cohorts of not just graduates, but apprentices and higher apprentices as well, as they progress through their program. So, from the training that development that graduates go through as well is hugely important. So, alongside the day-to-day job, there is the sort of what we call core skills development program, which all of our individuals at higher apprentice, which does include some graduates, I hasten to add, depending on what sort of vocation people want to go into. But during the first 2 years, it's a program that's designed to expand on that business knowledge in a safe environment. Mm-hmm. Strengthen those core skills that we all have, and we all know that there'll be sort of sweet spots that we'll have, but there'll be development areas as well. So it's a sort of set of core modules that are completed during that 2 years, allows our sort of cohorts to get together as a peer group to develop, and also meet a lot of other Tarmac key stakeholders, and helps transition into that sort of destination role at the end of the 2 years. So that's kind of my role and what our cohorts do.
Yeah, Darren's really, really passionate about early careers, aren't you, Darren? And we've worked together for 12 years now, Darren. We've worked together. That is how long, yeah.
All good. It has been all good.
It has been all good. It's been a fantastic relationship. And, something that, Darren, I know you as a person hold very close to your heart is the development of graduates as well, throughout all the organisations that you've been involved in. But tell us a little bit more specifically about Tarmac then. So why is training and development so important to you as a business?
I think if you look at us as an industry, then there are misconceptions that people would have about our industry. and it's important that we are ready for the future. You know, if there's an aging workforce, for example, if you've got people that have been very loyal to us as an organisation, but those people are going to go off and do other things at a certain point in their sort of age, as it were. So we have to, as an industry, develop that sort of future leaders for us as a business, you know, and get the right skills and develop the right technical skills once people join. So, you know, acknowledging that everybody doesn't, you know, as graduates or candidates, you don't know everything when you join. And that's a really powerful thing to have that self-awareness that there's a development journey that you're going on. So early careers is hugely important to us, to be able to build up that sort of workforce that's resilient for what's going to be sort of thrown at us, I suppose, as a business in the future, and being able to deliver, you know, with what we sort of set out to do.
I think that's really reassuring, Darren, as well, from the students who are watching, students and graduates who are watching, that you're not meant to know everything as well. You know, Darren just mentioned there about, you know, you don't know what you should know in the future at Tarmac, but this is why a lot of these employers have, you know, training and development programs and everything else. So don't worry that you don't know. You're meant to not know right at the beginning of your career.
Yeah, 100%. We'll obviously come on to it later on in terms of those tips and what people can do. But the most important thing is that as individuals who are studying at university, you've chosen that sort of pathway and passion that you have for the learning that you're doing. And, you know, you bring the real self, bring the real you to work in the workplace. You know, you should be in an environment where you can flourish and be yourself to get the best out of you. But acknowledging that you don't know everything from day one, and sort of being a sponge and sucking up that information to help you to grow is, you know, if you've got that and you've got that mobility in terms of you'll do X, you might do Y, you might do Z, there's that flexibility that you're showing, that's to learn, then that's you know, that's really important to have.
Be a sponge.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. I can second that. And you meant, again, Darren, you touched upon misconceptions. What kind of would you like to cover off as part of the webinar?
Well, we do, you know, we do have, you know, core sort of engineering programs, you know, that have got amazing development opportunities within our industry. You know, there are other roles where if you have a STEM background, then you might not sort of appreciate that they're there. You know, there's more to us than just building materials. We have some amazing people that will do that sort of technical engineering, production, design, etc. Design from our products perspective. But there's so many more different routes in that you should be exploring. So that would be my sort of ask, is that it's not just concrete and engineering. You know, there is a lot more. But in terms of the importance that Tarmac plays within the industry and the scale of, I've been amazed at the scale of us as a business. You know, you only have to go to some of our sites and you know, even as a non-engineer, I was completely blown away with the scale of what we do. And some people will love that, you know, others might not. But if you're somebody that really is kind of prepared to get stuck in, that's what came across from me when I recently visited our cement plant at Tunstead. You know, if you've got that, you know, as an engineer, you're going to be doing all sorts, and Victor will sort of no doubt come on to this, but if you want to be an engineer that's stuck behind a desk, it's probably not going to be for you. It's that variety that you are going to get to really get to sort of learn what we do as a core business.
Yeah, and you'll hear from, you know, the different stories today. So I know Victor and Emma, actually, you both studied chemical engineering, but Rachel, you're from a different background. You did geology, didn't you? So we'll definitely get those different stories across as part of this webinar. So thank you very much for that, Darren. Brilliant introduction to Tarmac. So what we're going to do now is move on to the grads, find out a little bit more about them and kind of their journey so far. What we'd like to do is just start off with a really nice ice-breaking session and just ask an easy question. So where you went to university and what did you study? And Rachel, you are top of my screen, so I'm going to start with you.
Yeah, sure thing. So yeah, I'm Rachel, and I studied geology at Southampton University in my undergraduate degree. Then I went and did a postgrad degree at Camborne School of Mines in mining geology. And now I've come to Tarmac and I'm the graduate geologist. So yeah.
Perfect. And how long have you been at Tarmac, Rachel?
Started early September. So maybe 2 months now. So yeah.
Oh, so you're nice and new.
Nice and
got
new.
loads of questions for you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Rachel. Victor, so sorry, Rachel, you're based at the same site as Amarachi today, aren't you?
Yeah, I am. She's actually upstairs. So
yeah. Yeah. And where's that?
I'm at Stancombe. So
Stancombe, and that's
office.
Bristol.
Near the quarry. Yeah, near Bristol.
Yeah, perfect. Just getting my geography sorted out so I know where you all are. Victor, so you're based about an hour away, South Wales?
Yeah, so my name is Victor. I'm based at Aberthaw Cement Works, which is just west of Cardiff in South Wales. So I studied an integrated master's in chemical engineering at Lancaster University. So graduated in 2019 and I've been with Tarmac since 2019 as well.
Perfect. So I bet you've got some right stories to tell us. I'm looking forward to hearing those, Victor. And Amarachi, so similar question, where'd you go to university and you studied chemical engineering?
Yeah, so I did my undergraduate in pure and industrial chemistry at University of Nigeria.
Yeah.
Then I came to the United Kingdom to do my MSc, which was in advanced chemical engineering at University of Aberdeen.
Perfect. We've got a perfect split of geography there as well. So before I hand over to Sophie, a couple more questions. We're going to do a quick top fact round about Tarmac. So Darren, I was going to start with you. No, Rachel, I'll start with you. I know that look. Have you got a top fact, Rachel?
Is that? So we've got quite a lot of quarries in the UK, and that was something that until I'd come to Tarmac, I hadn't quite appreciated just how many quarries Tarmac have. So that's pretty cool. There's a lot all over the country. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Top fact.
This isn't a top fact, but I was driving to the office yesterday and there's a lot of, so I live in Yorkshire, can you tell by my accent? And I must have been behind about 6 Tarmac trucks. I was just like, whoa, this is definitely a sign that I've got a Tarmac webinar this week. We have a lot of quarries. Thank you, Rachel. Victor, top fact?
So if Tarmac wasn't part of CRH, we would be big enough to be a FTSE 100 company in our own right. CRH is a FTSE 100 company, but just gives you an idea of the scale of Tarmac within CRH, that even if we weren't part of CRH, we would still be in the FTSE 100.
Wow, I didn't know that. Brilliant. Thank you very much, Victor. Amarachi?
I'll say Tarmac is so invested in sustainability. So right now we have some low carbon content products which we manufacture, like the warm mix asphalt that is used in the roads, and also some low carbon content cement substitutes like the GGBS, which we also use in producing our concrete. So yeah,
brilliant.
Quite vast in sustainability.
Yeah, and sustainability is something that, a lot of the students and graduates who are watching are definitely interested in. So good fact, Amarachi. Thank you very much for that. Darren, before we move on, have you got one?
Yeah, I've got one.
Go on then. Go on.
Let's go with on the sort of vehicles piece that you just mentioned, and I suppose that's where logistics comes into, moving those trucks around, doing it in the, I suppose, cost efficient way as well. But we've got 1,720 fleet vehicles that will be moving products around, and just to throw some additional we've got 30 different sets or trains that will take those products, and obviously the amount of product that you can include on the trains means that that gives you a scale of operations that we have. Huge.
Okay, Darren, before we leave you, we're going to ask you one more question about the opportunities. So you're not currently open, but you are going to be soon.
Correct. Yeah. So
tell me more.
The area of the business that Victor works in, Cement, Lime and Pat, it has engineering programs. Now they will be opening up applications. It's going to be by towards the end of next week. So certainly by that Friday, the 11th. So applications will be live at Aberthaw and also at Dunbar in Scotland, just south of Edinburgh, and also at our Tunstead plant, which is Buxton. So there's opportunities for chemical and electrical, and we will no doubt have mechanical as well. Other opportunities will open up on the 1st of December.
Yeah.
And locations, when I say other opportunities, there will be the likes of technology.
Yeah.
There'll be sort of corporate functions as well. So we have individuals in finance, HR, commercial graduate roles, individuals that have got those STEM subjects, and will certainly and have an interest in our products and done the research, will fit in really, really well. The scheme that Amarachi is on, the general sort of graduate scheme, management graduate scheme, will also be opening, and locations will be nationwide, but corporate functions will predominantly be based in the Midlands. And the one thing that I would say is that if you haven't got a driving license yet, don't worry. I know that costs of learning to drive are particularly difficult and still the catch up after COVID. But be aware that a lot of roles could take you from site to site. I know that Rachel mentioned it before we came on live here, that her out and about. So you need to think about how you're going to manage yourself, and that's really important. But let's get you through the selection process first. So do make sure that you're sort of signed up on the the employer hub, so that when those vacancies do go live, then you'll get those push notifications that will sort of give you the details and send you back through to our website, where there'll be a sort of clear, which we'll come on to later, I think, as well, won't we, Carla?
We will, yeah.
What that sort of process is going to look like.
Fab. So give Tarmac a follow. Opportunities are to come, hopefully next week and beginning of December. So we keep talking about engineering, but engineering might be the next round of recruitment starting towards the end of next week, but then all STEM from then on. So give Tarmac a quick follow to be alerted, exactly like Darren said. So perfect.
I think it's the market that we're in as well. We want to be able to share those amazing opportunities that have been approved within our cement lime and packed business. We're just going through those business requirements that will be all confirmed next week, which will give us up to let's make it easy. 1st of December through to the end of January, people can apply. Perfect.
Right, me and Darren can talk forever. So Sophie, I'm going to throw you the reins.
Thank you very much, Carla. Brilliant. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to be getting to know our graduates just a little bit more about your journey so far. So, Victor, I'm going to start with you on this. Could you tell us what your current role is at Tarmac, a little bit more about what you do and the team that you're in as well?
So I'm currently a process engineer at Aberthaw Cement Works. I started in 2019 as a graduate process engineer, and then I've become a process engineer September of last year. So I've been in my current role for just over a year now. So I'm personally responsible for the process engineering aspects of approximately half of the cement plant. And then we've got another process engineer that looks after the other half. And then we have a graduate that's just started this year in our team as well. And the team's led by the optimization manager, my boss, and then in terms of day to day, we'll look after all sort of aspects of the process engineering of the plant, whether that be measuring things related to combustion to optimize the burning process in the kiln, or doing other activities to ensure the proper and smooth running of the mills, and as well as that, getting involved in sort of different projects that might not be immediately associated with process engineering, whether that be safety incentives or environmental considerations as well. So it's the core of the role is certainly process engineering, but there's a lot more to it than that, really.
Yeah, it sounds like it. It sounds like you get involved in an awful lot of different things. Have you been based in the same place for the whole time that you've worked for Tarmac, Victor? Yeah,
so I've been based at Aberthaw since I started. There is quite a lot of opportunity for travel, and there's often projects that are ongoing at other plants that you'll be required to go and assist with, whether that's big audits at one of the other cement plants, or sort of extra activities such as the core skills or the employee development program, and they're often held all over the country. So whilst I'm based here, typically at least twice a month I'll be away somewhere else, whether that be doing engineering there, or whether that's for a training course or something of that ilk.
That's great. So you get to kind of still see like other graduates that joined at the same time as you and kind of go on those development courses with them, which is obviously really important when you're joining a company as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so there's the core skills, which is well, clues in the name, the core element of that really, where you'll be meeting up with a cohort that you'll get to know very well, and you'll become good friends with a lot of the people in your cohort, doing all the activities with them, and then outside of that, a lot of the people I was on core skills with, I end up meeting them when I'm out and about on different training courses, or when I'm doing sort of different internal events. You often see the same faces, and it's good to have that rapport with them already from the likes of core skills.
Yeah, brilliant. I think that it's really nice to hear that you still do have that relationship and see them like still now, even being with the business 3 years. I'm going slightly off on one here, Victor, but just you don't sound like you're from South Wales, let's put it that way. So how did that relocation work when you kind of finished and decided that you wanted to work for Tarmac? What sort of support did you have there to move?
So I'm not sure what support the incoming and current graduates have had, so it's probably not relevant that I discuss what it was like in 2019, because I know there's been a few changes there.
Okay.
I know certainly that Tarmac would, that one of our values and mottos is right people, right place, right time. So I think certainly there'll be the relevant level of support that's required, depending on the role and the location. But in terms of how I found it, I'm from the Lake District in the north of England, so it's about 300 miles to where I work now, and it was great. Yeah, it was an exciting new challenge to move to the other end of the country and to move to the centre of Cardiff. I don't live in Cardiff anymore, but that was an exciting challenge for me, and something that I would encourage anyone to don't let the location of something hold you back from considering different opportunities.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, and kind of what I hoped you were going to say, Victor, that it's something that we talk to our students all the time about is look at the company and the role itself, and don't be focused on where it's based. Be really flexible at that early stage in your career, because otherwise you might limit some opportunities. So it's great to hear 300 miles is a huge amount to move away from like your family and your friends and where you grew up, but it's obviously paid off, and you're having a great career now at Tarmac. So thank you very much for that, Victor. I'm going to come to you next, Amarachi. Could you tell us a little bit more about your current role and what you do and the team that you work in, please?
Okay, I'm the general management graduate, so my role is more like a rotational role in different departments of the company. So we have the technical department, the production, the strategic planning, the commercial. So I'm supposed to spend 6 months in each of these departments. But right now I started with the technical department. So what we do is mostly quality control and quality assurance to test our samples and make sure they meet the specifications.
Okay, fantastic. And when did you join the business again?
2 months ago.
2 months ago, so same time as Rachel. Okay, fantastic. So you're on your first kind of rotation at Tarmac. Yeah, brilliant. Definitely. Fantastic. Well, we're going to find out more about what you've been working on so far in just a few minutes. But Rachel, I'm going to come over to you. Could you tell us a little bit more about what you're doing and your role at the moment?
Yeah. So I'm the graduate geologist at the moment. So I'm working within the Land and Natural Resources department. So we've got quite a lot of sort of different teams within that. So similar to sort of Amarachi, I'm doing sort of 6-month placements for the next 2 years. So I'll get to like rotate a little bit more, both within Land and Natural Resources and maybe 1 or 2 opportunities to go outside and experience some other stuff like the rest of the people on the call are doing. So so at the moment I'm sort of working with technical services and with strategic planning. So strategic planning is more like drilling projects and ensuring the next quarries, where we're going to go next and what we're looking for, and extensions and stuff like that. And technical services is about managing the current quarries, so like the geotechnical aspects and quarry design and stuff like that. And so that they're the people kind of in my team at the moment. So we're a relatively small team, probably like 6 or 7 for the
Okay.
southern region. So we cover both of those. So yeah, I'm getting to go. Yesterday I was at a drilling site helping manage what's going on there. So it's very much a lot of field work and a lot of getting out and seeing things. So which keeps it fresh and fun.
Yeah, brilliant. And in terms of so you're based near Bristol at the moment. Is that where you're going to be for the next 2 years, or after 6 months, are you going to be physically moving or just moving around different teams?
Yeah, I mean, this is something I've actually chatted to my manager a lot about because you're never really sure. I know when I started the job, I was told like 3 months in Bristol, and then I was sort of, as I came more through it, became like at least 6 months, and now we're looking at kind of at least 18 months. And I think the good thing is that it's a very flexible. So with kind of work from home, kind of going to the office, bit of hybrid lifestyle, as long as I can kind of get to the office, it's very flexible. And my manager's very sort of receptive, and it's a very open conversation. So I've sort of said I'm quite happy to live in Bristol at the moment. So we'll see where it goes and see where it takes me. So yeah.
Fantastic. That's great. And again, it's great to hear that, you know, these conversations, you just go to your manager and say, okay, you know, what's it looking like? What's the potential? And, you know, it's a two-way conversation, which is always nice to hear. Okay, Amarachi, I'm going to come back to you now just to find out a little bit more about, you know, the projects that you've been working on so far, because I know you mentioned about quality control. Could you just tell us in a bit more detail, you know, on a day-to-day basis, what sort of things are you involved in?
Yeah, currently my day-to-day activities is slightly rotational. Slightly routine based. Yeah, but some other days I tend to go to maybe a construction site or a housing site and know what's going on there. Test the samples as well. So we have different ways of testing our samples. And I'm working with the ready-mix concrete. So the ready-mix concrete is more like you have your cement, your aggregates, and your water sample that is already mixed and then being distributed to the customers. So that is what I test. So I test those samples, cure them in the lab afterwards, then just carry out a comprehensive test to test the strength of the sample and make sure that it meets the specification that the customers require.
Fantastic. So you're actually physically doing the testing yourself, as well as then reporting back on the results of that. Fantastic. And what other teams are you working with as part of this role then? Because it can't be just a standalone, doing what you're doing. Who else do you communicate with?
So I have my colleagues that are in the lab, then I have the supervisors and my line manager as well. So we all kind of work together. Yeah.
Fantastic. Brilliant. And when you finish those testings and you know you've got the results, what happens then? Do you have to put that on a report out to people, or what happens from that point?
It's more, we just document it, but any other stage should be up to the seniors in the role. So yeah, for now what I do is to document it and then pass it on to my supervisors. So,
fantastic. So yeah, a mixture of kind of being really technical in the lab, and then you know those kind of written communication skills and things like that as well, that are obviously really important in the workplace. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Amarachi. Victor, I'm going to come back to you because I know that obviously you've been with Tarmac the longest on the scheme. So could you tell us about some of the kind of key projects that kind of stick out in your mind since joining the business?
Yeah, absolutely. So pretty much the day I started in 2019, I was given the responsibility for a project called Blending Silo 2. So this is a type of silo that's used to basically blend up the raw meal for the cement. And this particular one had been out of use for many years for various reasons. So I was tasked with basically bringing it back into commission. So I worked with a team of Tarmac employees and contractors, and it's taken us, well, it's still not quite finished, it's nearly there. But yeah, it's taken us the best part of 3 years to get the silo emptied and refurbished. So I've been responsible for looking after that in terms of managing the contractors and taking overall ownership of the project, which it was quite sort of daunting at first when I just come fresh out of uni, and then that was assigned to me as a project I was personally responsible for. But I think it was really good for my development, and really brought on my confidence with being able to take the weight of such a project. It's hundreds of thousands of pounds sort of order of magnitude. So yeah, that's been a really good project, and we're starting to see some really good benefits from that now in terms of energy and fuel reduction, and therefore CO2 savings there. And just on the subject of sustainability, it brings me on to another quite exciting project that I've been involved with more recently. So we've just replaced one of our raw materials in cement with a sort of a lower carbon alternative. So where we were getting a mineral that we dug out of the ground previously, and when you burn that in the kiln, that obviously gives off CO2, we managed to replace this material with a waste product from the steel industry, so a similar high temperature industry, so that the heat's already driven off the CO2 at their end. So when we get it and we burn it in our kiln to make the cement, it doesn't contribute anything towards our CO2. So that's a huge saving in terms of CO2 emissions, and also a financial saving associated with that as well. So yeah, that's been something that's been quite interesting in terms of the chemistry side of that as well, and just making sure that these alternative materials are still suitable to make cement with, that works for the customer and meets the relevant standards.
Fantastic. So have you got multiple projects going on at the same time then? Because you've obviously mentioned two things there, but it sounds like you're still working on both of them.
Yeah, well, how long have I got? Yeah, there's a lot going on. It's certainly within cement, it's an extremely fast-paced environment. There's a lot going on. You've got your projects like your sort of 3 to 5 year horizon, like the blending silo 2, and then you've got your maybe 6-month horizon, that alternative raw material. You'll maybe have a couple of them on the go at once, whether you be personally responsible or just part of the team that's working on it, it doesn't really matter in a way, because you're all pulling your weight, and then you're going to have your sort of day-to-day operations, day-to-day normal operations, and then inevitably things do go wrong, so you've got to sometimes drop everything because something's broken down, and go and attend to that. But that's what I certainly enjoy about my job, is that variety and that mix of different horizons I've got to look at. And certainly I know a lot of people will say about their jobs that every day is different, but I certainly think within cement you're very far along that scale of every day really is different.
No, that's brilliant. I think it gives a very realistic picture of working life generally, doesn't it? That you've always got a number of different things going on at the same time. Time management's really important. Then suddenly there is kind of an emergency that comes up that you have to deal with. And I think that, working in an environment where you're supported to kind of grow and learn through that as well is really important. It sounds like you've had that experience at Tarmac. I mean, being dropped on a project that to the scale of what you were when you first joined in 2019 just shows the faith that Tarmac put into their graduates. So I think that's really interesting to hear. Thank you so much for that, Victor. I'm sure I could ask you a million more questions, but I do want to make sure that I get time to have a chat with everybody. So Rachel, could you tell us a little bit more about what you've been doing so far? I know obviously we've touched upon it briefly, but on a day-to-day basis, what sort of things are you doing at the moment?
Yeah, no, it's a good question. So my role is pretty varied. I'd say like 2 days a week I'm typically out the office. So I take this week for example, so I'm currently managing one of the sites that we've got some drilling work going on over in the southeast. So that involves, I'm one of the Tarmac contacts, so between me and my boss we're sort of overseeing kind of the work that's going on. So I was chasing down a landowner and having a chat with him and showing him sort of some of the boreholes that we're planning to put in, and then consulting with the geologist that we've got on site at the moment. He's logging out the sand and gravels that are coming out the ground. So it's quite varied, I'd say. And if I'm not on site and doing sort of drilling projects, then I'm back in the office and I'm looking at the data, or I'm sort of doing some other sort of jobs that I've got on the go at the moment, sort of researching different things. So it's pretty varied. And then I've also got lots of training courses coming up at the moment. Obviously I'm fairly new to it, so I had a risk assessment training course last week, which was actually quite interesting. And so it's getting stuck in with a lot of sort of different things, I'd say. It's not too samey, which is nice. Much like wearing your PPE. I was literally in PPE all day yesterday, getting rained on and like rolling around in the mud. So and now I'm in my nice office clothes, and you'd never know. So
That's a nice mix. That's a nice
Yeah.
mix of being able to get out and do that.
Yeah. it is.
So these drilling projects that you're talking about, Rachel, now forgive me, I don't know a huge amount about everything.
Right.
You know, what do those entail when you say you're working on a drilling project? What does that mean?
Okay, so if I take sort of one of the examples that I've got at the moment, so we're currently looking at extending one of our quarries that we've got. So we're currently on farmland that's sort of just adjacent to it, and we're literally taking a drill rig. So I've got a team of very good Scottish drillers at the moment up there, and they are drilling in the ground. We've got quite a few boreholes, which is like the holes that we drill, and then we take the material that comes out of the ground and we log it, and that there's a report made about that, and that sort of tells us how good the mineral quality is. So it hopefully is going to be good, and we're hopefully going to go ahead with the extension. And so that's sort of the preliminary phase, and then we'll feed that all back to the company, and hopefully the quarry managers will be digging it out the ground in not so distant future. So yeah, that's sort of what we do.
Brilliant. Thank you for clarifying that. I think
okay.
for my benefit and also for the audience's benefit,
Yeah,
you
no,
know,
definitely.
just to get a good understanding. So no, that's brilliant. So, I mean, you've only been with the business 2 months. So there's lots more that I'm sure you're going to be doing over the next couple of years. And we are going to find out a little bit more about that. So do you know, I know you mentioned when we were talking a few minutes ago that you're now thinking you might be based in Bristol for 18 months, but what sort of things do you think you'll be getting involved in during that period and beyond? What does the future look like for you?
Yeah, so the current plan is, obviously plans are subject to change, but you know how it goes. So I think my next placement is going to be with national exploration. So they sort of the team that almost before the stage that I'm doing at the moment. So I'm currently looking at sites that we've already explored and we've already thought are probably good. National exploration, almost like one step back from that, and we're going to start from like a blank slate and have a look at where we could go next. So hopefully that's going to be one of my next placements, and then I think I might have something with cement and lime, sort of looking into the geology side of that a little bit more as well. So yeah, it's within that sort of stuff, but I've said to my manager, and he's very open and very keen for me to do it if I can get some experience in operations as well, not just all about the geology. So to sort of widen out and have a good appreciation for what other people do within the company as well, because it's ultimately what I do sort of does impact everyone else. So, and what the cement people get out the ground is essentially what we find. So hopefully it's good.
Fantastic. No, I think that's a really good good plan, and it seems like you're going to have a really good experience there, and also getting the involvement in the operations side and a wider understanding of the business is always going to be beneficial as well. And like I said, it's great that you're able to have these conversations with your manager even at this really early stage in your career, to kind of think about your future and where you could go. So thank you so much for that, Rachel. Amarachi, coming back to you, could you tell us what the future looks like for you and where you think you could go with Tarmac?
Okay, currently, due to my rotational program, so in the next few months, I should be heading to production and operation, hopefully, not quite sure, or commercial, any of the departments. So to give me a better understanding of Tarmac and the business as well. So, and to also have a knowledge of how each department kind of interlock with each other, because there's always a connection. So yeah, to have a general overview of Tarmac as a whole.
And are you going to be based in Bristol as well, or are you going to be moving locations, or are you not sure yet?
I'm not sure yet, but currently my region is Southwest and South Wales. So so even in the technical team, I go to South Wales sometimes to also do some laboratory tests. So I've already been moving out. So
okay, fantastic. So that's exciting. Great. And after your graduate scheme, so after you finished your 4 6-month placements, where do you think your career could go? Where would you like to be based, do you think? What area?
I can't say for now, but I haven't witnessed other
Too
departments.
early.
So
I was thinking that's a mean question. So
I know, I was thinking, I didn't know how far she was thinking it. No problem. Well, thank you so much for that. I mean, like you've got still 18 months or so left of your graduate scheme, so there's lots more to experience.
Exactly.
So that's great. Victor, coming to you now, could you tell us a little bit more about where you see your future at Tarmac?
Yeah, it's a good question, really. I think there's a lot of different possibilities. I mean, certainly at the moment, I enjoy being in operations and being on the plant, and being based on a plant. And yeah, certainly in the next 5 or so years, I'd still probably going to enjoy that aspect of the job and getting out on the plant and doing things. Maybe stepping up to my boss's level and being in this fancy building that I'm taking care of instead of my normal office. But
you look very comfortable there, Victor. Very comfortable.
I know you do.
Yeah. But yeah, sort of aside from that, within Tarmac sits within CRH, which is a huge multinational organization, and they run something called the International Technical Program for Cement. So I've just come back from an event in Switzerland with them, and then I'm going to Austria in a couple of weeks.
Wow.
So that's a good opportunity. But as part of the ITPC, they do a sort of an international placement scheme for a significant proportion of each cohort. So if you're within cement and lime, there's certainly opportunities to work in different countries within other CRH businesses throughout Europe and indeed the world. So perhaps if an opportunity arises in the sort of short to medium term, then that might be an exciting opportunity for me to progress. But other than that, it's Aberfoyle cement plant's a great place to work. So there's a lot of different, it's within cement, the big sites, there's a lot of people work there, and there's a lot of different roles. So whatever you enjoy, you can pivot your career towards that, I would say.
That's brilliant, Victor. Thank you so much. I mean, it sounds like there's a lot of things that you're going to be getting involved in the short term, and then also in the long term to progress your career, and it's all sounds fantastic. So thank you for that overview. And like Victor said, in cement and lime, there seems to be an amazing amount of opportunity. And like Darren said, those roles are going to be opening in the next couple of weeks. So make sure you follow them on Gradcracker to make sure you're alerted to those roles. We're going to move away a little bit from the day job now at Tarmac to find a little bit more about what's on offer and other activities that you're able to get involved in as a graduate. So Amarachi, what other things are there outside of the day job at Tarmac that you've found that you've got involved in or have enjoyed so far?
I would say my team, because that's like the closest Tarmac connection I have. So my team, they are quite social. You know, it also motivates you to go out there, join a social group outside of work. So I have some that are in rugby. So it's kinds of, so presently I'm swimming presently.
Great, brilliant.
So that's what I do outside of work. And in Tarmac, we also have a current challenge that is going on, the plank challenge that just started 1st of November. So it's just a challenge that is being thrown to all employees. So you just kind of log in your progress. You have a target every day in your plank challenge. So kind of have that sort of stability, your body stability. So
Is that when you are planking as in like
plank, the normal plank exercise, so it's a plank.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, no, I would not be able to do that. How long are you doing so far, Amarachi?
So I started with 20 seconds, which is the target for the first day, same as the second day, but I mean, it hasn't been easy. 20 seconds seems like a long time.
No.
Oh, it's a long time.
So,
do you start shaking? Do you know when your arms start shaking? You just sat there dithering.
Yeah. And what's the target then? What are you meant to get up to at the end of this challenge?
I think 5 minutes at the end. So it ends in 30th of November. So
30th of November. Oh my goodness.
But we have a rest in each week. So each week, maybe on the 6th day, there might be like a rest, then the 7th day continue. So as the day progresses, the minutes or the seconds increases as well. So
I can't imagine doing a plank for 5 minutes. can't
Well,
imagine
good luck
standing
with
still.
that.
I mean, it's great that you're kind of doing this as like a company-wide thing, and that you are, it's obviously health and well-being as well. So that's great. And it's good to hear that you've got a really social team as well, because I think, with our audience, joining as a graduate at any company can be quite daunting, but to know that you have got a social team to work with and to be able to go for drinks and make friends or go for dinner or join sports teams is really, really important. And I think does make a massive difference for people early on in their career, that you do need that kind of support network. So it's great to hear that you've got that and you found that within your particular team already, actually. So thank you so much. Rachel, same question to you. What sort of activities do you get involved in outside of your kind of day-to-day work?
Yeah, so I think having kind of quite recently moved to Bristol, I'm still sort of finding my feet a little bit and settling in, but I'm quite a big hockey player, so I'm yet to join a hockey club, but that is my to-do list for the weekend. So
great.
So yeah, I like to keep up with sports when I can, and it's just really easy friends, isn't it, if you're playing on the pitch together? So
definitely.
I quite like to do that sort of on my outside of work free time, and I kind of do a lot of outreach as well when I can. So I think last weekend or the weekend before, I was doing an Earth Science Festival sort of locally, and I had a dinosaur face paint like all on my arms and getting down with the kids and having fun. So like that sort of stuff makes it almost feel like full circle, really, like when you're going back and helping those youngsters to try and get them into sort of these sort of industries. So it's it's really fun and I like it.
Brilliant. Oh, good. That's fantastic. And what sort of things do you I think you touched upon this earlier, Rachel, but in terms of training and development, when you're kind of going on courses, is that done with a lot of the other graduates as well? How does that work? So for my role specifically, we have quite a lot of like technical courses we need to do. So for example, we use some software like our geographical information software, and so I've got a course coming up for that, and that's going to be within Tarmac, so other Tarmac employees are going to be on that, and that's hosted in one of the Tarmac offices up in Leicester. So it's a good opportunity to get these, and I think it was like a couple of weeks ago now I had my level 3 geotechnical course, so I did that again. That was run internally by Tarmac employees, so that was really good. I did my risk assessment course, that was again all Tarmac people, so there's definitely quite a lot of internal stuff that you can do, and then in addition to the grad scheme as well, like there is that core skills program. So we've got some really exciting modules coming up. I think there's 8 modules in total, and they really do cover a lot. So I think it's nice to have the balance of like very role specific training that I'm getting, as well as very like business specific training. So a lot of it I do go to some of these finance calls, and I'm still getting my head around a lot of it, but I know when I have that graduate module, I'm going to start to understand those sort of things that are coming my way. So that's I think that's really beneficial, and I think that's what really drew me towards the grad program, because you get that extra training and extra knowledge. So I think that's a really important point, not just thinking about the technical skills, about the other kind of business wide skills that you can get involved in. I think that's really, really key to a graduate scheme, and a lot of our students will be really interested in that element as well, Rachel, so thank you very much for that. And finally, Victor, coming to you before we come back to Darren to hear more about the recruitment process, what sort of things do you get involved in sort of outside of work, that you might be doing with other Tarmac employees as well?
So at Aberthaw, we do like a charity event at Aberthaw. We raise a lot of money for various different charities throughout the year. So for example, we've got a Aberthaw cycling club, and they did a charity bike ride from Aberthaw up to head office near Birmingham and raised several £1,000s for a couple of charities in the process of that. And then just this week, actually, one of the electricians is shaving her head and donated her hair to the Little Princess Trust, and raised over £1,000 in a week as well. So there's always charity stuff to be getting involved with within Tarmac, and it's something that a lot of us we feel is very important part of working for a big organisation, and it's just a good thing to do. So that there's always a lot of stuff like that to get involved with. And then in terms of just like socialising with the team, so my office, we got given some tickets to go and watch Wales versus Australia in the rugby down in Cardiff quite recently. So that was a good little office night out to go and watch that. And then, yeah, pretty much every team on certainly that I've worked with and on the cement plants, we're all a pretty sociable bunch. We like to get out in Cardiff as often as we can align all of our calendars just for a drink and a catch up outside of work. So
That's
yeah,
nice.
it's really good. Yes, it's really good. And our the graduate process engineer in my office, she actually moved down from Scotland down to here just this year, and I would say she's got a better social life than me now. So that's a pretty good, gives you a pretty good idea of the warm welcome that you'll receive from sort of all teams within Tarmac.
Yeah, no, it definitely sounds like that. I mean, from what everyone said, it sounds, really supportive. You've got a lot of social stuff going on. And also, the kind of training and development aspect as well, which all ties in together. All of these things kind of come together to make a great graduate scheme, don't they? So thank you so much for all of your insights today. I'm going to hand over back to Carla and Darren now to find out a little bit more in depth about the recruitment process.
Thank you. But before that, Darren, do you think you'll be able to do a 5-minute plank by the 30th of November?
Not even going to attempt. No. I'll do myself an injury on the first attempt.
Yeah,
so.
Me and you both, we'll scrub around it. So yeah, let's hear about the recruitment process if we can, Darren. So tell us all about that, please.
Okay, so if you were to go onto the website today, it would say one thing: there is some changes that are incoming for 2023 program. So there still will be a traditional application form. What we will be sort of going into a little bit more detail at the front end is making sure that there's eligibility and understanding people's right to work, so that we can make sure we're providing the right support to our candidates all the way through that selection process. But application form, where we are going to want you to go into some detail about the kind of why you want to pursue your program of choice. You can highlight your background and reasons. Quite traditional, but there's 4 or 5 questions in there that really gives you the opportunity to really kind of think and to sort of articulate those kind of reasons and respond accordingly. We'll then review those within a 72-hour turnaround. So some changes there from last year where everything was looked at the end, but we'll do it live whilst people are fresh and having just applied. And then following that, we will then put people, there will be a period of going on hold, but it will be for a suitability kind of screening, personalizing it a little bit more. We're taking away the video interview. We felt number wise it didn't work, and candidates probably need a little bit more support than maybe what was thought of when people applied last year. So that does create a little bit more work for us, but there'll be a 10-minute telephone call with individuals to kind of understand those motivations and get to know candidates a little bit more, checking on that suitability before we then sort of put people on sort of progression, hopefully through to an assessment centre. So we're moving away from just an interview as part of that final process. What is important is 2 things really, that will provide sort of candidate newsletters throughout the campaign. So news stories and news items that can help individuals learn a little bit more about who we are, the kind of things and projects that we're doing. So it really kind of helps you as a candidate get a feel for the organisation more so as you progress. Hopefully it'll rubber stamp that interest to want to pursue a career with us. And then assessment centres, for some of those roles will be face-to-face assessments, because it is really important that you get to know the environment that you're going to be in. I mentioned that, so I've been told, and having been there, I can see the reasons why, it is an environment on site where you're either going to love it or you might think, I'm not sure this is for me. So being able to bring candidates to their site for the roles that we really don't need people to see, those will happen. For those where we can run virtual assessment centres, we will. But we'll also include guidance sessions before either one of those, whether you're going to be travelling to Aberthaw, Dunbar, Tunstead, or it's a virtual assessment. There will be those guidance sessions that we provide all candidates with what to expect, help build that confidence, and set people on the right path to be able to be the best that they can be on the day. If people need reasonable adjustments, then with measures in place for us to be able to support candidates, whatever that may be. and the team will sort of be, you know, on hand to do that.
I think we've discussed this at length, haven't we, Darren, about the whole application process, and it is, and I think this is a message that you want to get across as part of this webinar, Darren. It is it's a two-side process. You know, obviously Tarmac is speaking to you about the opportunities and everything else, but it's also kind of your job as a graduate, as a student, to feed back anything, any queries that you might have. You know, Darren mentioned there about reasonable adjustments, anything like that. You know, the whole application process with regards to the 10-minute telephone calls and, you know, keeping in touch. It's your job to kind of report back to Tarmac as well if you needed anything else.
100%. So you know, I think you know, providing that positive candidate experience, you know, there is only a certain number of roles that we have. We know that we're going to get more applications. So we have roles. So not everybody is going to be sort of suitable, and people might sort of think, actually, it's not right for me. But the most important thing is that, you know, the information that we provide allows an individual to really rubber stamp, I really want to join it. And even if it's unsuccessful this time around, then who's not to say that in the future there are other opportunities and you can learn from that experience for programs in the not too distant future. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, so I'm just thinking, you know, everybody can go into this positive light. It's a brilliant experience, and obviously this experiences that these graduates have had as well. I'm definitely wanting to be applied to Tarmac if I was watching this webinar. Darren, at the beginning, you did mention you know, a couple of hints and tips. So, you know, like be yourself during the whole process. That's what you look for. Is there anything else whilst we close the webinar that you just wanted to add to that?
I think for the application, you know, for those questions where, you know, we're not asking you to write War and Peace, and, you know, there is, you know, good communication is about being clear and concise as well. There's a fine balance there. But it is your opportunity to really kind of hammer home the kind of why you want to pursue a career with us. You know, so go into detail and explain that. You know, it's we want to enjoy reading those applications rather than second guessing whether an individual sort of is somebody that is definitely we want a telephone call with. So, you know, understand your own reasons why Tarmac, why you're pursuing the opportunity that you're applying for. And there will also be another couple of questions that can sort of highlight more about you and your achievements. And that gives us a sense of, you know, the values that you have as an individual, and the strengths and sort of also areas for development. So we do sort of ask people to be honest and say, look, we don't expect you to know everything to start, like I said. So what areas of development do you believe you have that you need to be successful within the program of your choice? And what that does, it demonstrates an individual's sort of that self-awareness that, okay, this is what I'm going to be doing, this is what I need to have. And you know, that combination of line manager, mentor, core skills development program sets people on the way, but you have to individually take that ownership as well. So, you know, just be honest with us.
I think there's just so much on offer at Tarmac, and you've got some brilliant opportunities coming up, and I'm really looking forward to advertising them on Gradcracker and you getting the applications in. So don't forget, as a graduate, you know, mention the fact that you've watched this webinar, you've been involved in the conversations with Rachel, Amarachi and Victor, you've heard about all of those, their experiences, and that's also added to why you want to apply to the opportunities that Tarmac has open.
100%. I think what we've said, Carla, haven't we? You know, there's new content that we're creating. There's some good content on the hub already. But there's content that's being created over the next 4 or 5 weeks. So, you know, we've got our own internal marketing team, videographer, etc., that will be getting the kind of you know, views of recent joiners and those people a little bit more experienced, people like Victor, which can really showcase, okay, this is what life could be like for me if I was to pursue an opportunity here.
This is what I love. I love the profiles that you guys have sent through and are going to send through in the future, because it does give you a real day-to-day life experience of what it is like to work at Tarmac. Thank you, Darren. I'm just going to finish off with the grads now, if that's okay. So obviously you've definitely inspired people to apply to the opportunities which will be opening soon. So if you were going back, you know, first day as a student or a graduate starting at Tarmac, what kind of hints and tips would you give them? So Rachel, start with you.
Yeah, is this for like hints and tips for the interview, or just
just day one? So if I was
Day
going to start
one.
at Tarmac on
Yeah.
Monday, what would you suggest that I prepared, or what hints and tip would you give me?
Yeah, I suppose I'd say like just try and have those open conversations with your manager, and try and see what is out there for yourself, and think about what you want as well, and what you could do, because if you don't ask, like, you might not get. So and they're pretty receptive to these sort of talks.
Yeah, brilliant. Ask. So we've got ask, be a sponge. Victor?
But just before I answer that, I think I want to just echo a couple of the things that Darren said about the assessment centre. So when I went through the application process, I applied through Gradcracker actually in 2018, and we still did assessment centres back then. And I know it's something we moved away from, and now we're coming back to again. And I think that's a good thing, really, because I think I had a really positive experience on my assessment centre. It was at Tunstead actually, sort of a central one, and it was a really good environment, and it allowed me to sort of relax into the day and sort of show the best version of myself to Tarmac. I think that's a really positive development, and I'm glad to hear that we're moving back towards that sort of more personal approach. In terms of first day at Tarmac, I think from my point of view, before I started, I went and bought a load of nice office wear and nice clothes, and I turned up on my first day and was immediately given a pair of overalls. So if you're going into a sort of a cement or an operational role, save yourself some money and don't go and buy a fancy suit, because you won't need it. And then second of all, I think it's just to get involved with things. So when there's something going on site, even if it's not necessarily your responsibility to deal with it or to be there, just be there and soak up the knowledge from other people. We've got a lot of people within the business that are vastly experienced, and they're not going to be within the business forever. So I think it's really important to gain as much knowledge from them as possible, and really listen to what they've got to say, because they can offer a huge amount. And also just don't be afraid to challenge as well. So sometimes we've done things for many years in a certain way, and a fresh pair of eyes can be extremely useful and can bring a lot of positive change. So listen and speak up as well, I would say.
That's a really good point as well, asking questions about the more experienced people, because they won't be at Tarmac forever. So good point there, Victor. Thank you very much. Amarachi, did you want to end on anything? I saw you smiling and nodding along to the don't buy a posh suit.
Because I actually wanted to talk about the whole office outfits.
Yes.
As well. So Victor has already mentioned that. Don't bother yourself buying tons of office, honestly, because every day I wear my PPE, so I don't know.
That's a good tip. I like that. Don't go spending all your money all at once. Thank you very much, Amarachi, and thank you very much for everybody to join us today. It's been brilliant, a really good insight into Tarmac. You as individuals, your roles, and also Tarmac as a company. It's been brilliant. So don't forget what Darren said at the beginning. We'll be opening soon on Gradcracker, so don't forget to give them a quick follow to be alerted when they do open up their positions. Thank you, Darren, for joining us again, Rachel, Victor, and Amarachi, and thank you, Sophie. Don't forget the webinar will be live on Gradcracker this afternoon. So if you just give us an hour or so, we'll put this on the Tarmac Hub so you can go and watch that. And in the next couple of days, we'll break the webinar down into bite-sized chunks as well. So if you want to go back and listen to a specific person talking about something, we will put those live on the Hub and on the Career Centre. Jess and Sophie will be joined by the RAF next Thursday. So don't forget to join them then. But for now, goodbye from Gradcracker and goodbye from Tarmac. See you soon, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.